you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, good afternoon. This is WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and Podcast #1 Internet Singles Talk Network. And this is Let's Talk About Dating with Barry and Christine. Hi, Barry.
Hi, Christine.
So today we're talking about how to show up as your best self in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Show up better in a relationship. And I was thinking about how so often we talk about these four key places, and I thought this is just the perfect place to talk about how to show up mentally and physically and emotionally and spiritually so that you really do bring your best self to a relationship, because you'll be attracting and attracted to people that are also working on their best self and achieving their best self. And I've been telling people lately, I said, when you do that, what happens is, in Tai Chi, when they go, that's what happens to the people who aren't right for you. They'll just walk on by.
So true. I
Little
love that.
Tai Chi move. It's so effortless. Oh, no, no, so not a match. We're just not a
Yeah.
match.
Well, the other thing is also, I think we should talk about today is really so much about switching the gears from what you get to what you can give. And that shift is so key because that's the thing is a lot of us sometimes when we're looking for dates is like, who is that person? Are they going to be somebody I want to be with because of what they can give me? It's like, well, yeah, but what do you want to give them? So
Mhm.
this conversation is going to be so key because it's trying to wake some people up who don't know that it's important to know what, how you're going to give, what you're going to bring forward, what are you going to deliver in the relationship as a partner that makes you a good partner to be with in the first place. So this
Yeah.
is good coaching for those people who are watching who maybe haven't considered this area so much
Mhm.
because we're going to give you lots of good stuff.
I think so. And that is such a good point, because you and I coach men and women, and you coach women. And frequently
Hmm.
a woman, and I've heard men say this too, well, I'll do more exercise when I meet somebody. I'll join activities when I meet somebody. I'll go self improvement when I meet somebody. And in our world, we know that's a little backwards, actually.
Well,
It's when
actually,
you've done this for yourself already, you're going to meet somebody that's of the caliber that you want.
except I'll say it the other way around for another reason because things I know for a lot of men it feels like I don't know it's true for other men. But I know I did myself for at certain times. I would be really committed to working and exercising before I met somebody to look good. But once I got them, I would go, okay, I'm done now.
I guess that is a little true.
I know men
Maybe
do that.
it's a
I'm
little
sure
true for
maybe
women
women
too.
do that too, and men do too. But the truth about this is here's the thing. Speaking about being shown better in a relationship is what you want to start. What do you want to do? If you're single now when you're watching us, because I've been single for a long time, so I know this stuff. Is I do a lot of self-care stuff, like I exercise and take care of myself every day. Not like pounding the gym, but doing things that take care of my physicality and experience of being out in the world. Which means when I meet somebody, I want to keep going because I love it for myself. I get benefit out of it, and
Hmm.
then they will as well. But I'm doing it for them, I'm doing it for me. That's the other piece, by the way. We want to make sure that a lot of things we're talking about here are things you do for yourself anyway. That when you get into a relationship, don't change because you
Right.
already value the experience you're having yourself. So if it's meditation, for your spiritual calmness, maybe it's you're doing physical exercise or you're eating certain ways. Is if they're things that work for you and you're enjoying and taking care of yourself, why would you want to give those up for your partner?
No. And what I'm really looking for is not only somebody that we have some of those really core things in common, but what they're doing to take care of themselves. I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. Oh, that might be fun to explore with them. And then I'm going to show them what I do for me. And that hopefully, if they're the right person for me, they're going to go, oh, tell me more about that. So it's
Right.
been fun to have conversations like that where the men are do a physical practice that I'm not familiar with, like Tai Chi. And I'm like, oh, I want to learn more about that. And then I get to talk to them about horses and what I like
Mhm.
about riding and spending time with them, and how it's sort of my meditation is to be with them. So, how we can compare, yes, we're sort of doing the same thing, but really differently. And how do we visit the other person's way of having this calmness and fulfillingness in our lives, but coming from such a different direction? You already have to have this practice though before you can have that conversation with somebody.
Right. In fact, let me another piece of that one. It's
Yes,
like I love we're
please
building
do.
this web.
Like Legos, they fit together like Legos.
Exactly. So the other piece of that, which is what you to say what you said another way, is that a lot of ways also is that yes, you like I said, you want to make sure you have some things you'll continue in the relationship, but also don't be too rigid because you may discover something your partner does, like, wow, that's even better than what I do. I want to play with
Mhm.
that. I learn how to do that, like Tai Chi, or maybe something in the kitchen. You know, I can cook fairly well, but I'm not an expert or gourmet or any of that stuff. If I meet a woman who really loves to cook in the kitchen and she's got skills beyond mine, I'm like, let's do this. You know, jump up that. I want to play at that level. So definitely, you know, you may want to be doing the best you can as you are as a person. If you meet somebody who does something that's better than you do, when you want to be up leveling to match that as you get into a relationship, I think I would. So that'd
Mhm.
be great to have that opportunity to like, oh, this is going to be fun. We can do more or greater or better, whatever that is for you.
Yeah. And that is just, it like raises the excitement and it raises
Mm,
the pheromones and the adrenaline when you're like, oh my gosh, I can give this to them and they can give this to me and we can just keep up leveling.
yeah, that's to me is what the excitement and yeah, the pheromones and all that stuff is, because that's the real excitement of a relationship is additive value. You
Hmm.
know, because we've talked many times before and other times about you don't want to be in a relationship where you're feeling empty until you meet somebody who's going to fill you up and make you feel okay. It's like that's horrible. And we talked many times about that. So go watch the archives for that stuff. So in this
Yeah,
point of view, we're
really.
talking about being whole as a whole input. You already are whole, and you are taking
Hmm.
care of yourself, and you are
Hmm.
living your life as a healthy single person. So when you get to be in partnership, because I've said it many times, and we talked about this as well, about relationship aren't 50-50, they're 100-100. So the relationship is more than the sum of the two parts. So you definitely want to bring your A game, so to speak, your true nature, being authentic, into partnership, and hopefully your partner does the same thing too. So then you have so much excitement and joy and like what we can do together. It's like magical type energy.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is
definitely.
magical.
Yeah.
So one of the conversations I had recently with a gentleman was, in my profile, it says, I have longtime friends. I hope you do too. And so he wrote, blah, blah, blah. I like your smile and what you wrote in your profile. And oh, by the way, I have no friends. So I thought, I'm so curious. I said, why you don't have any friends, like work colleagues or college friends or neighborhood friends? And he said, no, I've always depended on the woman to bring the friends into our life. So he was
Mhm.
really upfront about it. I was
Yeah.
very impressed with it. And I said, so how's that been working for you? He goes, well, the problem is when the relationship ends, so does the friendship.
Yes.
I said, well, how? Because I'm intrigued to have somebody tell me out loud they have no friends. I said, so how does that work for you? He goes, well, then I feel really lonely. I said, so how do you think I feel like I'm coaching this guy. How do you think you could get some friends? And he said, I don't know. I said, well, what kind of things do you like to do? So he mentioned a couple things. And I said, so are you doing them? No, no, since COVID, but they were outdoor things. I said, well, maybe you could start doing them and get some friends, because I really think we're not a match, because I want somebody who's coming with some friends.
Right.
Really
Yeah.
important to me. But it was fascinating. And I thought, I'm sure he's not the only one that does it this way, both men and women. They want somebody to fill in that hole, as you talked about, that we have these empty places inside of us. And it sounds like, well, they're not lasting. I didn't ask him about his relationships. So maybe it works for some people. It sure wouldn't for me, which is why I say it out loud in my profile. Please bring some of yours. I'll bring some of mine and we'll see how we do together.
I like
Right?
that. Oh,
Yeah.
that's perfect. I love what you said that, and it's such a key thing for people because again, having what you want clearly defined in your profile. We talked about profiles before as well. So when you meet somebody who don't fit, you're like, this is what I want. You don't match it. Sorry. Then it
Mhm.
becomes easier in a sense. But that piece about I'm trying to remember if it's we did the show or was it another podcast? Something no, it wasn't a podcast. It may be a clubhouse room about who gets the friends after divorce type
Oh,
thing.
who gets custody of the friends?
Yeah, right. Is that because that's the thing is
Oh,
that I
oh,
know I was talking with it wasn't a client, it was a friend of mine talking about this about how he has some wonderful friends, but because it was through her more than him when they got divorced, it's kind of like they said to him basically, sorry, but she's our friend more than you are, so we're going to go with her. And so definitely that rift that can happen because you don't just lose the marriage or the relationship, you can actually lose the circle of friendship you played in as well. So it's definitely again, once you're single, this is the practice time. Build your friendship circles, build those commitments to people that you love dearly, and build such trust and depth in the people you're around. So when you meet somebody new, it adds to this piece, not filling a gap you thought you had. So
mhm.
that's a great story. Yeah.
Is it? Well, and I'll tell you, my dad went to law school. He never took the bar exam, but this very close couple friend of theirs, he
Yeah.
did. And they had trouble having children for a very long time into their marriage. So she became my godmother. When my parents got divorced, they said, I'm sorry, we're Jim's friends. I did not see her for almost 20 years.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? But especially in those days, that was really how it was done. You couldn't be friends with both people. You had to pick and choose who got custody.
But
And it
even
was
so,
interesting in my divorce, we kept the same friends. It was kind of helpful. So I
yeah,
think farther into history now, people are a little more flexible about it. But still, it was good that we'd had our individual friends as well.
absolutely. No, my question came up. I almost interrupted you though. Was the thing about even though she was your godmother, she had to like cut that off because of him. I'm thinking with the child involved, that would almost be like, no, you have to keep the child relationship going, and one would
I
think,
know.
but no,
It made me sad
I understand
because I didn't
totally.
understand, because I didn't
Right,
think I'd done anything wrong. So I
but you
was
had,
glad that we reconnected. So we were connected for a very long time until she died 2 years ago. But I was so glad we got reconnected because I didn't understand as a kid why.
right.
But it was very accepted in those days when my parents got divorced that this is just how it is.
Hmm.
So yeah, you need to come with your own people. You got to have your
Yeah,
people.
yes, absolutely. Bring a tribe.
And then you get to meet their tribe. It was so funny when Tony, my late husband, and I met. I didn't introduce him right away to my family. I had told them about him, but he really wanted me to meet his. And he goes, "So you don't want to meet them all together?" I go, "No, little bits at a time would be really good."
I love it.
But we both talked about how we had, in our world, we had longtime friends, and we really wanted to find somebody that had longtime friends. He had even more than I did, and I thought I had a lot. So that really worked for us, that we could blend our friends and blend our families because we had this need and desire. And keeping friends is a lot of work. It takes effort and regular contact. So it makes you a different kind of personality, which you would like blending with another kind of personality. So it's another way when you get clear about, well, what floats my boat? What makes me excited? What things do I like having in my life that bring me energy or bring me peace? And then when you're really clear about that and you've brought other people in your life and other activities in your life that encourage it, you then hopefully, because maybe at that activity you'll meet somebody that likes that activity too, you go, oh, we have this in common. We have this energy, not just this thing, but this energy of wanting to be outside or wanting to do intellectual stuff or wanting to play games or wanting to have friends. So when you keep encouraging it and watering it and nurturing it, this thing in your life, you will just, I find you just keep attracting more people that are like that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the bottom line to this, really, to make it clear for people, is when you're single, is you want to have a life.
Mhm.
As simplistic as that sounds,
Yeah.
because many people oftentimes, and I've had this with clients where they come out of a divorce or a breakup, and they'll be like looking for the next relationship to make their life work. And a lot of my work is almost to disengage that belief system and say, look, you want to have your life work for you, period, as it is. And then when somebody comes along, it becomes additive, always additive. So you said it's so true about that building that environment, or just building that building a tribe, your community, your life as it works.
Mhm.
So you have all this place in place. So when we talk about the 4 levels we're talking about in this conversation, we are speaking about doing this for you, not for the future partner you don't have yet.
No, no, no. And they will either fit in, you'll both make adjustments, or it doesn't work. I mean,
Yeah.
I have to have a volunteering thing in my life. It's really important to me. I've volunteered in a number of ways throughout my life. Even as a kid, I remember going, oh, I want to help people in this way,
Mhm.
and I'm happy to gift my time. So it's been interesting having conversations with men because you and I are both on the dating app. So we have very interesting conversations with people.
We do indeed.
They either get the giving heart or they don't. They go,
Yeah.
you do something you don't get paid for? Well, yes, I don't get money, but I get such self satisfaction. And I can
Absolutely.
honestly say, as I've said more than once on here, that what I give, I feel like I get back 4 times,
Oh,
way more
I
than what I ever could give.
there's no limit on what we get back. I mean, I've been volunteering since Well, I didn't volunteer much when I was back in Europe, but when I got out here, I started volunteering, and it was, and mostly because I was volunteering where I was studying and learning and growing, because it filled me up so much. So I want to give back and volunteering and seeing the same process. It was almost like a cyclic thing. And it is something that for me it is a gift beyond giving, in a sense. I mean, the couple of phrases, one of the spiritual teachings talks about how service is the highest form of loving. And that's a great reminder, because to be able to give and make a difference and add value to other people's lives is very selfish, strange as that sounds, because we get value out of giving. So I agree with you totally. That's one of the best things. And yeah, if I would definitely concur with that. If I met somebody who hasn't done any of that stuff, I'm like, you haven't volunteered ever? You haven't been to an animal shelter or fed the homeless or cleaned up the beach or anything, or just volunteered at your church? I mean, something. Yeah, boy. So yeah, that's a key one for me too. In fact, and so again, to one of those 4 levels, the physicality stuff definitely. I must say this too. I'm not a vegetarian or a vegan, and I've been around a lot of raw foodists and vegan stuff. I love them dearly. They're friends of mine, but I couldn't date them because there's just such a difference of values in the kitchen. So on the physical level, besides having someone who does want to go out and exercise, do fun things that are physical, I'm not necessarily a water sports person. So if she wants to go surfing and other stuff, I'll watch from the beach, but I'm not going to be doing it with her. It's not my thing. If that's something she's upset about, then again, compatibility questions. So physicality is a key one. So definitely on health. I'm more holistic than traditional medicine, so I will go to the doctor if I need to, but I don't keep looking for a reason to get fixed. So someone who's not, someone who's in the same boat, it's like, what I'm saying basically, this is my values. You need to know what your values are about what you're looking for. So physicality, getting out and getting healthy, physically exercising, getting fresh air, taking care of yourself, naturopathic cures like chiropractors and supplements, and then getting medication when you need to versus medication first, definitely for me. Volunteering, doing stuff physically that fills my heart, like you were doing the same thing, is like so key. I mean, I know for you, horses are like a big part of your life. So having someone who at least understands and is willing to explore, rather than someone never was like, no, afraid of horses, that wouldn't be good.
No, I've really learned that. I used to say it didn't matter, and I've really learned it really matters to me.
Yeah.
They at least have to be interested and intrigued and hopefully not afraid.
Or if they are, at least they're willing to say, you know what, I need to get over this. Can you help me? That might be
kind of cool. Yeah. I'm sure we could work on that, especially if there was lots of other wonderful things about them.
Well, yes, of course.
And to talk about the mental part too, I think it's really important. So if we just start with one subject of is staying up on current events and the news and what's going on in your community and your state and the United States and the world important to you? And what level is it important to you? I respect people that want tiny bites. I do not watch or listen to the news after about 9 o'clock. I don't want it in my psyche when I'm going to go to sleep. I figure I've listened, I've watched periodically throughout the day. I want to stay up on what's going on. I think that that's really important for me, but I'm not going to watch the 11 o'clock news. Right. And so that's really important to me to not watch it, because I figure if something happened, if there's something somebody needs me to do about, they're going to let me know. So what is their way of staying up on the world? Are they somebody that wants blinders? That would be hard for me, because I want at least have some conversation about current events. But I also have had a couple people show up that want the CNN on or whatever, Fox, something on the TV all the time. And it really works for them. It wouldn't work for me. I cannot have a steady diet all the time. So there's a mental part for me where I have what I like and what broad boundaries I have, but I have very firm boundaries that I can't go outside of those. I've learned that that's really hard on me. So what kind of mental stimulation works for you during the day? Do you need to have silent? I like having noise in the background. That really works for me. I have a good friend. She wants it silent all the time. She'll turn on the TV to watch it, but she is allergic to background noise. That's how she's explained it to me. Background noise energizes me. I turn on I'll turn on music, or I listen to talk radio. That it works for me. So it would be important to talk about what kind of mental stimulation do you like during the day, and during the evening as you're winding down, so that you're clear about what makes you mentally a partner, what would mentally work for you in a partner.
Yeah, for me, I'm on the same page as that. I mean, I do listen to NPR in the morning when I go hiking oftentimes. So I'm listening to get my daily dosage, that's a better word, of news. And also from what I would personally is more of a neutral sense, but also being from England originally, I do catch a couple of YouTube channels that report on world news and news relative to England, which I don't get over here because America's news is so American centric. So for me, it's that, because the other part as well, and this is again maybe a philosophy thing, is that having a view of the whole world that isn't just America first, but everything else second, is a much more wise approach to seeing how life is. You know, so if in fact you start getting upset with the way things are happening in America, but when you find out what's happening in Europe as well as what is in America, you can't blame the president for that. So it's like having a worldview expands, one, your perception of what's going on, but two, maybe you won't get quite so upset about certain things because they're not so localized as you think they are.
Yeah.
So definitely agree with you on that piece. The other thing as well is, and yeah, I don't watch news late at night. That's not my thing. Lately, what I discovered also is I even though I watch a lot of like movies and certain web shows and stuff in the evenings as my wind down, I tend to try, and now I'm starting to cut out watching more violent stuff after about 10 o'clock because I realize I start dreaming about it. So it's totally self-care. So what I've started doing recently is I discovered this English, and my brother told me about this probably 5 years ago. I didn't know about it. A comedy quiz show from England that's been running for like 20 years, but it's on YouTube now.
I love English humor.
So I've been watching these shows, like episodes at night, like the last hour before I go to sleep sort of thing, or the last hour before I wind down, that basically just have me chuckling. I'm like, it's so much better.
What's it called?
It's called 9 out of 10 Cats Do Countdown. It's a really long title, I know. But basically, there's two shows. The original show was 9 out of 10 Cats, which basically is about polls. So basically, what do you think is the most talked about thing this week on the news, sort of thing, that sort of thing. And it's all comedic. But then there's one called Countdown, which is all about it's wordplay and number crunching, which I love because I watch them do it. I try to compete because I'm like, what can you do with this and what can you do with this? But the people I have on are all comedians. So they all have shtick and they all have things they do. And the thing for me is it's remembering all those accents from England, because some of the people are Scottish and Welsh and Geordie and Liverpudlian and Irish, and it's like it's a whole smorgasbord of English accents that I forgot I used to remember. So the show's been good for me on that level as well. So that's my sort of I think it's my cream on top of the coffee sort of thing at the end of the day, my sort of way to wind down. But on the same thing of mental stuff though, just to get back to it for a second. This came up in a conversation last weekend, was at this event, is when I talk to somebody and they persist in externalizing their perceptions in terms of saying, instead of saying like, when I go through this process, when I experience this, or when I have this go on, then I do this. When they say, when you do this and you have that happen, it's like, you're accusing me of stuff I didn't do. And I've noticed that happens a lot for a lot of people. Some people don't get aware of the fact that they don't take ownership of their languaging. And that's a very mental, I mean, it sounds mental, but it is mental. The people don't think,
in a different way, mental.
Exactly. But it's like they don't seem to think about what they're saying. I have a whole thing about, try, have to, but, should, all those words as well. Because I've been through a lot of trainings that teach us the power of these words working against us. So when somebody uses it all the time, I'm like, it's almost like I almost want to coach them, which is not good for a date. No. Just to be clear. So that's
the but and it's just, nothing good's coming after those words. Right. There's just nothing. I mean, I've waited for something good finally to come after those words. Never. And that's always putting the ownership outside. But it's just that they do this still, or but it's still a problem. Like, this is so not an open vessel for listening to the help that you are asking me for and paying me for.
Right. Now, if you're working with me as a client, I'll help you with that. Yeah. But if you're looking at it as a date, I hope you've done the work already. Because again, showing better relationship also is to choose meeting somebody that matches where you are as well. So you want to meet somebody who at least is on the same level as you are. If you're in the level of second person, third person languaging, then fine, go for that. That's not where I play.
No, not me either. You and I are very good at taking ownership of our own stuff, and we want we teach people how to take ownership of their stuff, because it's the thing you can do something about.
Absolutely.
So more about that when we come back from our break.
We already covered 2. We're going to cover 2 more when we come back. Perfect timing.
Yep, we'll be right back.
See you in a minute.
And we're back. Let's talk about dating with Barry and Christine, and talking about how to show up as your best self.
Or better. Yeah.
Sorry, your better self in a relationship. So, and talking about mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual, because that makes you a whole person. Didn't cough at all during the break.
You saved it. That's very kind of you.
No problem.
Yes. So now we can keep going there in the mental stuff, or we can move on to the emotional, or kind of a blend of both, really, because
they really are.
This is the more intangible stuff, but it's really kind of good because, I mean, just to put some things on the table, I mean, I definitely have worked through a lot of stuff and been in the personal development field for almost 40 years. I kind of worked through a lot of the stuff that was in the way. So if you're dealing with anger issues or trauma from you haven't dealt with from your past, that can be in the way of some being a good relationship partner. So if you're someone who's not faced that stuff, I highly recommend you go see a therapist or a coach or a counselor, someone to work through that stuff, so you can be free of that baggage. So when you meet somebody, you're free to play and dance and have a great relationship. But so many people, unfortunately, they go on, and of course they don't say the dating app. They don't put in their profile, wants to meet somebody with equal baggage.
That would be really unique, I think.
It'd be more accurate probably for a lot of people too.
Mm-hmm. Here's my baggage. Tell me about yours. Let's see if our baggage, if it's a match set.
We can match that, right? Exactly, matching baggage. But this is the thing: is that it is the challenge in a way about when I have done more work, is that I tend to meet less people who've done more work. So I know I'm in a smaller dating pool, and that's fine, because I know who I am and know what I'm about. But the thing is that if you want to be taking care of yourself and have a greater, healthier relationship with yourself, you want the same thing for your partner too. So you ideally want to meet somebody who as well has done their work. So it's almost like if you want to have somebody like out there does great things, why don't you do great things too to be a better partner? Mm-hmm. So heal your own wounds, clean up your own emotional baggage, deal with your anger issues, make peace with your past. Because ideally you want to meet somebody who's done the same thing, so that way you don't have to worry about dealing with the past in the relationship.
Yep. And you stated this really important thing that came up for me. I remember having this go by. I went to therapy sort of in between when I was single to go, what is going on? I'm not feeling as satisfied about my life. And it was about feeling if I did too much improving, my pool of people would get smaller. And it turned out to be a real fear. And I thought, well, that's good. We're acknowledging the real fear. And then it's the thing I find myself saying to clients all the time, because it's what she said to me. She goes, well, how many do you want? I said, oh, I guess just one. But when you're just doing it in your head, you aren't logical at all. There's nothing logical in all this fear. And so I was like, well, yeah, that's really logical. I really only want one. It's okay if the pool gets small, because that one will be in this small pool. And I have said this out loud to clients more than once. And they're like, oh, yeah, you can have a small pool. It's okay.
Yeah. Because dating is not a numbers game.
Qualified.
Well, actually, think about it. Dating can be a numbers game, but relationship isn't a numbers game, because you want to be ideally with one person. Presumably you want monogamy, not polyamory. Yeah. But that's so true. And yes, to absolutely know that what you're doing is preparing yourself to be better for the person you want to be with versus the 300 people you don't want to be with.
So if you let yourself think about it for a minute, because I had to, is that maybe one of the reasons you're not doing, would hold you back from some of this self-improvement stuff that you and I are talking about? Because I think it's important to look at what the blocks could be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really. And we do this kind of psychological stuff to ourselves all the time. And I wasn't even aware that I was having a problem. I think I need more. There needs to be more to pick from, because it made sense, because I love options. And like when I go shopping, I want to look at a whole bunch of stuff to see which one I think I like the best. Well, it turned out in dating, it was much better to keep making my pool smaller with more qualified people.
Yeah, refinement is better. I mean, I was talking to a client yesterday, and she was telling me she had the fixation about it had to be a certain way. And I just sort of opened her eyes to like, well, what if you just step back and saw a different picture and it could be over here instead of over there? I mean, I'm speaking metaphorically rather than she said what we said. But she was sitting back and she went, I never saw it that way. I was like, that's why you're working with me.
Yeah.
That's the gift about getting someone's help, is that they have a different view than you do. It's like, that's the key, is you want someone who has maybe a higher vision or different viewpoints, so they can see you differently than you see yourself, because you may not see yourself clearly.
Yeah.
So absolutely, yeah, this is key. And again, you want to be better in a relationship doesn't mean just a better looking outfit you're wearing. It's about being better internally as well as externally.
And when you're feeling better internally, guaranteed it shows on the outside. Guaranteed.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
Well, we've talked about that as our clients are starting to feel better inside, people are like, did you change your hair? Did you lose weight? And it's none of that. It's because their insides feel better, which shows so completely clearly on their outside. Always.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's no way it won't.
Absolutely. Let me say it this way, because I want to make sure that women get this, because I work with a lot of women in my work, and I discovered this when I started meeting women this way, is that when women stop carrying those burdens, baggage from the past, and they heal as emotional wounds, it's like they're taking sunglasses off from the sun. When women have done the work, and men can do it too, but it's more for women because women tend to do this, is that women become more radiant. Literally, they radiate more light because there's less stuff in the way of that light. And for us men, I believe when we do this work, we become clearer. We don't necessarily radiate light so much. That's more of a feminine energy, but we become clearer. When you see us, you see a more trustworthy and solid person, because we're not distracted by all the stuff inside that's pulling us away from our center. So we do the work for as men, so we can become stronger, clearer vehicles for what we are about, which makes us more attractive to women. And ladies, when you radiate because you've cleared up all that crap, you become way more attractive to us men. So both sides win.
It's so true. It's so true. And it's one of those things that it's really difficult to just explain to somebody. I'm like, just try this for a week. Just try this for a week and come back and tell me if it didn't do anything, we'll try something else. And they always come back going, wow, it really worked. I go, I know, because I've lived through this. You and I've done this personal work. So we don't ask anybody to do something we haven't done on our own.
Right.
And know that it's going to be beneficial. That's why they come to us, to have their lives get better. Yeah. And it truly, you are so correct that what it brings out in the men and women, which is different, what it brings out is the magnet for men and women. It's so true. Where when you're not doing the work, you become the opposite. The magnets that push each other away.
You repel,
if you meet somebody that's done their work and you haven't, they're like, but really? Or you've done your work and they haven't, you're not going to be attracted to each other. But for both of you that have gotten clear about who you are and your value and your boundaries and what you want with another person and what you want that'll make your life feel it's good, but it'll be even better. The other person who knows that's going to go, yeah, I want more of that. And that's why it's okay that the pool gets smaller, because the person that does that is going to pop right out.
Yeah. I mean, and just to say, on the other side of that, it is the challenges that you tend to be when you're out in the world. At least when I'm out in the world, and I say, let me not do third person. Let me say myself.
I know what you said about not doing that, right?
When I'm out in the world, I'm very aware, and I suspect other people may experience the same thing. Is when now I've done this work and done so much work, and I keep doing this work, is when I meet people out in the world, I might notice women are attractive, but I can sense they're not free of it yet. Like whatever the stuff is they're dealing with. Yeah. And so I just admire the view and I move on. Because I know that it's not worth it for me, because I don't want to play in that place anymore. I was trying to find words, but nothing was coming up that was polite, in that place anymore, because I know the value of my time for me. And that's another piece of this. It's about valuing your time. Do you want to spend time dating somebody who's got too much stuff in the way to be able to be free to love you? Yeah. Or do you want to spend your time on your own with yourself, which is more important if that person doesn't fulfill you on that level? So it's worth it to be alone with yourself in a good place. I know I've done for many years, because I'd rather do that than be with somebody who doesn't add to my life.
And you find the person that you're having to work so hard for.
Yep.
They're not ready. They can't be up at your same level. You're at graduate work and they're doing undergrad. Hopefully, even maybe they're at undergrad. To find somebody that's in the same graduate program of self-learning, self-educating, self-love, self-fulfilling in this very wholesome way. Because I find the people that are really self-centered they're not doing this work. I'm not saying that at all. People that have, how do you make yourself your best person for you and the people around you, so that you can be your best person in a relationship? Because you want somebody to show up and be their best person in the relationship.
It's such a key component, which I think, because the thing is also, because it's not talked about that much in the wide world, so to speak. Many people aren't aware of it, because, as you said, the dating pool does get smaller because not as many people choose to do work to heal their stuff and then go out and date. Most people go out and date and then discover all the stuff in the way, and then they go see a therapist after their third relationship fell down. Yes. It's like, start with yourself first. Refine this vehicle first, then you can go enjoy the other vehicle, so to speak.
Yeah. So the fourth piece of spirituality. So some people are very religious. And if you're very religious, you read the Bible every day, you go to church once a week or more, God is very important in your life, then seek out places where there's going to be people who feel the same way. And don't go to places where there aren't people that have your same belief. I mean, you can go to explore and go, wow, it makes me even more clear that I'm happy where I am. Or, wow, their ideas are interesting. Maybe I'll look at some other ideas. But when you're seeking your own people, your own place, the places that are going to make you feel more whole, go to wherever your spirituality takes you, whether it's a formalized religion or one that's more spiritually based, or even groups of people that get together and like discuss theology. I mean, I've known people that have done that, and it was so satisfying for them. And they met partners there because they were on the same playing field.
Absolutely.
And that's really important. Oh, because religion, as much as politics too, can really be such a dividing line for people. So figuring out how important it is to you, and then how important it is to the other person, and who has any flexibility at all or not.
Absolutely. I'm just thinking if I can record any stories I want to share. We'll see what comes up.
We like your stories.
Well, the thing, one date I had, this is going back now, probably 6-7 years ago, when a matchmaking service that reached out to me, put me on dates for their clients, because I was a high prize for them. It seemed like I wouldn't say no to that. Anyway, they put me on dates for their clients.
I would agree.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I went on this date with this woman. I want to show this in a show or not before, but I haven't shared in Clubhouse a few times. And the difference who we were spiritually speaking and religious speaking was so diametrically opposed. It's like that would never have happened if I was out looking to meet somebody on my own, because they didn't. The matchmaking service did no matchmaking whatsoever. It's just like, okay, woman, man, put them together.
Oh.
And she basically got upset. Her closing statement, or any statement she left, was like, how could a matchmaking service worth their salt put a very conservative Christian white bread woman with a Jewish spiritual liberal Renaissance man? That was me.
I mean, where's anything that's the same?
Again,
Wow.
man, woman, that was all they thought about. And that's the thing, is that yes, I do come from a Jewish background. So first of all, I don't have a big fan page for Jesus in my life.
No.
Because it's not my teaching. So to go with somebody who that's their thing, we can have an interesting conversation because you don't match on that level. But I'm actually been on a spiritual path for over 30 years. So my spirituality is much more important to me than my Jewish faith. Yes, the cultural part of Judaism I enjoy to a degree, although I don't keep kosher or anything like that. But to know, like, as I know who I am spiritually speaking, what I'm about in terms of my spiritual values, my belief about religion, etc. When I meet somebody who does match that, that's so much easier. But if they don't match that, it's like, nice to meet you, but not so much.
Yeah. And one of the things we talked about in the beginning is, if you meet somebody that has a new thing that you've not heard about and you'd love to explore it, you can't explain every single thing. You need to have some of the things where you both go, oh yeah, I understand that. Oh yeah, I get that. Oh, I can talk on the same level about that. Oh, I've had the same experiences. Oh, I've had that hard experience and I got through it and this has been my growth path. I mean, you have to have, for me, the bulk of that. I mean, if I need to explain a little more about some of the things, I'm so fine with that. You know me, I love telling my stories and I want to hear theirs too. And
Right.
That's a very fun exchange. But oh my gosh, I mean, that is really the epitome of oil and water. I mean, there's no way you're going to mix together at all.
No.
It's wild.
No. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, also I wasn't that attracted to her, which made it much easier to have that clean cut. If she'd been a very attractive woman, it would have had to like fight those inner demons, like saying, yeah, but like, because there's the other part about choosing out better for a relationship. Sometimes we do this thing comparisons, like these are the pluses, but the minuses are not as bad as they're not as high as the pluses. So I'll say yes to this, but really, you should never say yes to that unless you have all pluses.
Yeah.
And in that case, thank you was much easier. But it's like, that's the thing, is because being a man, I'm definitely attracted to how a woman looks. And I've definitely been tempted. I haven't followed through, but I've been tempted by a woman whose looks were so great, but I knew enough stuff was, in quotes, not correct or not matching, that I couldn't say yes to that because there's not enough.
And for us women, we'll say it's looks, but mine truly 100% is the feeling I have sitting there at the first meeting. I have to feel comfortable. I have to feel safe. I have to feel that really interested in getting to know me. And sometimes they show up and they do all that. And I'm like, but there's all these other things that aren't right. There's so many other things, they're kind of flaky and they don't really have time to date, but I like how I feel with them. It's wild how there can be these very attractive, lovely things that truly are not enough, but they are so damn attractive.
Oh, it's so tempting. So tempting. Which is why we're talking about the four things, because it's not just one thing. So I know we're going to wrap the show up, but I want to make sure people watching this get this. If you're watching this, please remember that you can manage to date for a while on just one of the four. If you want to rebuild a relationship, you've really got to cover all four of those pieces.
All four.
Both what we said already, but also about what you find attractive in those four areas for that person as well. Because yes, it isn't just about, they look great, so they've got great chemistry. It's like, how are they emotionally? Do you feel attracted to who they are in their emotionality? Do you feel attracted to how they think? Do you feel attracted to the spiritual practice? Those are key questions to ask yourself as well, because if you want to be in a better partner, you got to choose better for yourself in the first place.
Perfect little, put a bow on it. Right, just wrapped it all up, Barry. So good.
Well, you're welcome. It comes through once in a while.
So it's one of the many reasons it's such a pleasure to talk to you every week.
My pleasure
talk
too.
With you, co-host with you. So if you'd like to talk to me about the challenges, how do you get clear about who you are and what you need and want in your relationship? That is a huge part of my practice with everybody I work with. We get to the bottom line essence of all of that. And then what everybody finds is they're now starting to attract people that are much more a match. Because if you're not clear about it, how are you going to even know if they show up, right?
Right.
So there's a couple ways to get a hold of me. One is through my website, which is www.theperfectcatch.com, and click on what's holding you back from love. And then you fill out a brief questionnaire, and then you have access to my calendar, and you can schedule a complimentary conversation with me. And we'll get to the bottom of what the challenges have been in your dating life. You can also send me a private email at christine@theperfectcatch.com. And you can sign up for my newsletter and see my YouTube videos by myself and with Barry through Facebook and LinkedIn and Pinterest and Instagram and YouTube and Twitter.
There you go.
I have to live up to how well Barry does this every time. And Barry, tell everybody how to get a hold of you.
Of course. So similar to Christine, I have a website and social media. So if you want to reach out to me, my website is barryselby.com, and you go on there, and indeed on the front page of there, at the top of the front page, there's a get started. We can click on that to get a complimentary chat with me, so we can see where you are and what you're looking for, and if I can help you, and if we want to work together. At the bottom of that front page, you can also join my email list just to sign up if you want to do that. Plus, on my site, there's videos and my online signature program and my book and a few other things as well. So you can check out my website. So again, barryselby.com. You can email me, which is barry@barryselby.com. Easy to remember. And in fact, on social media, all my social media except Instagram is Barry Selby. So YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Clubhouse are all Barry Selby. And then on Instagram, it's the real Barry Selby. That was a change for me for a while ago from my account getting screwed over. So, excuse me, messed up.
So right. We're all adults here.
Yes. So definitely check out our stuff and reach out to Christine and myself and get some support, because frankly, if this has been provoking things for you, you may want to sort out what those things are, and we're here for you.
If it's ringing some bells, because the tagline for The Perfect Catch is, you need to learn how to be one first, and then for sure you'll attract one. I mean, that's really Absolutely. Where you and I live every day with my clients, is helping them become their true best self. And Absolutely. Sometimes we just have to uncover some things. So we're here every week on Thursdays at 1 o'clock Pacific and 4 o'clock Eastern, and all the times in between. So please tell your friends and share this video with people you think might be having. Everybody's always got a friend who's, oh my gosh, they need help with their dating life. I hear that a lot. Just not always the friend knows that.
Yeah, if you have questions on this video, you can put comments below the video as well if you want to respond to this one. But definitely share it with your friends, because I'm sure you know at least 3 people who need to see this video.
At least. And we will answer you. We promise. We always answer queries that come up from our videos. So we'll see you again next week with Let's Talk About Dating with Barry and Christine.
See you then.
Bye for now.
See you then. Bye.